The Galactic Council's emergency weapons lockdown had never failed in 12,000 years, until Emma Johnson walked into the tribunal chamber and every defense grid in the sector simultaneously registered her as a planet killer. Freeze! Kael'thas, the council's security chief, materialized in front of her with 17 armed guards, their weapons humming with enough charge to vaporize a small moon. Do not move! Do not speak! Drop your weapon immediately! Emma stopped mid-step, her visitor badge still swinging on its lanyard. What? The chamber erupted. Alarms screamed from every wall. Emergency bulkheads slammed down across the observation galleries. The 7 council members on the raised dais scattered like startled birds, diving behind reinforced barriers that hadn't been deployed since the Kryn insurrection. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Weapon detected, the station's AI announced in 12 languages simultaneously. Category Omega Threat, Evacuation Protocol Alpha 9 initiated. What weapon? Emma held up her hands, palms out, her cloth tote bag sliding down to her elbow. I literally just came from the hotel. I don't even have pepper spray. Xilax, the council leader, peered over his barrier, his 4 eye stalks trembling. Human Johnson, the sensors do not malfunction. Every defense system in this sector confirms it. You are the weapon. Emma looked down at herself, wrinkled blazer, sensible flats, the coffee stain on her skirt from the shuttle ride over. She looked back up at the 36 weapons pointed at her face. Look, I'm a middle school science teacher from Ohio. The most dangerous thing I carry is graded homework, and I left that at the hotel. Scans confirm, shouted a technician from somewhere in the chaos. Energy signature equivalent to 17 fusion warheads. Structural density exceeding battle-grade serum steel. She's reading as a walking extinction event. Emma laughed, the sound sharp with disbelief. That's ridiculous. I got winded walking up the stairs this morning. Kael'thas hadn't lowered his weapon. His people were fanning out, attempting to surround her using cover positions. Surrender the device! Show us what you carry! I'm showing you! Emma lifted her tote bag with 2 fingers. Conference itinerary, protein bar, phone charger, hand sanitizer. Do you want me to dump it out? Stay back! Vexia, the council's weapons specialist, emerged from a side corridor with what looked like a portable scanner the size of a briefcase. She approached Emma like someone defusing a bomb. Let me examine the bag. Do not touch it further. Emma held it out, arm extended. Seriously, if I'd known you guys were this jumpy, I'd have brought a stress ball or something. Vexia took the bag with mechanical clamps, her 3-fingered hands nowhere near it. She retreated behind a barrier and began scanning. The silence stretched. 30 seconds, 45, a full minute. Report, Xilax demanded. Vexia looked up, her faceplates shifted in what Emma had learned was confusion. The bag contains exactly what she claimed. No weapons, no devices, no exotic materials. Then what? The threat signature, Vexia interrupted, her voice barely audible, is coming from her body, her biological structure. She looked at Emma with something between awe and terror. She is the category Omega threat. Emma blinked, then blinked again. I'm sorry, what? Your skeletal structure alone could breach our primary hull. Vexia's voice had gone clinical, detached, the tone of someone retreating into facts because the implications were too massive. Your muscular system generates kinetic force, exceeding our industrial equipment. Your cellular energy output, she stopped. Started again. Human Johnson, you are biologically capable of killing everyone in this room with your bare hands. Emma looked at her hands like she'd never seen them before. No, I'm not. I can barely open pickle jars. 23 separate weapon detection protocols have been triggered, Kael'thas said flatly. Protocols designed to identify threats to planetary populations. All of them are pointing at you. Emma's face had gone from confused to annoyed. Okay, can I sit down? Because I've been standing here for 20 minutes, and you're telling me I'm apparently a doomsday weapon, and I'd really like to process that sitting down. Do not move! Every guard tensed. I'm not... Emma closed her eyes, took a breath, opened them. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I came here to present humanity's petition for advanced medical technology. That's it. That's the whole plan. Talk to you folks, show some slides, maybe answer questions, then get back in time for dinner. There's an Indian restaurant near the hotel that smells amazing. You wish to discuss technology access, Zilax said slowly. While our sensors indicate you possess more destructive potential than most planetary defense systems? Emma spread her hands, then froze as every weapon tracked the movement. She forced them slowly back to her sides. Apparently, yes? Though I'm really starting to question if this was worth the trip. We need to disarm her, Zilax announced to the council. Immediately. Emma threw her hands up, then remembered the weapons and lowered them slowly. How? What exactly do you want me to surrender? My arms, my legs? I don't understand what you're asking for. Submit to scanning protocol, Kael'thas ordered. Full spectrum analysis. We must identify the source of the threat signature. 20 minutes later, Emma stood in the center of a containment field, while 3 different species' most advanced scanners circled her like curious sharks. The first scanner, Kael'thas's military-grade deep tissue analyzer, took 10 minutes and made a sound like a dying computer when it finished. Results? Zilax asked. Kael'thas looked at his display, looked at Emma, looked back at the display. Her bone density is... This cannot be correct. These readings suggest her skeleton could punch through starship hulls. I have mild osteopenia, Emma protested. My doctor told me to take calcium supplements. The second scanner, a Vexian biological threat analyzer, took another 15 minutes. Vexia studied the results in silence, her face plates shifting through colors Emma hadn't seen before. The muscle structure, Vexia said quietly, suggests she could tear through our battle armor like paper. The energy generation from her cells exceeds our fusion cores on a pound-for-pound basis. And she stopped. And, Zilax prompted, her breath. Vexia's voice had gone flat. The bacterial content in her exhalation could devastate our ecosystems. She's exhaling what we would classify as a biological weapon with every breath. I brushed my teeth, Emma shouted. I used mouthwash. What do you people want from me? The third scanner, an ancient Eldari relic that supposedly could detect weapons hidden in subspace, simply exploded when it got within 5 feet of her. Kael'thas immediately raised his weapon again. Defensive action detected. I didn't do anything, Emma's voice cracked. I've been standing here like a statue for 45 minutes. My feet hurt. I'm hungry. And you people keep pointing bigger and scarier equipment at me and acting surprised when it says the same thing. All scans confirm, Vexia said, backing away slowly. She is council leader. There's no other classification. She is a walking extinction event. Emma laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. I ran a 5K last month and nearly died. I'm not a weapon. I'm a middle school teacher who hasn't been to the gym in 6 months. Your cellular structure contains more potential energy than our fusion cores. Vexia's clinical detachment had cracked. You shouldn't be possible. Yeah, it's called metabolism, Emma shot back. Have you guys never met a human before? We've met humans, Zilax said slowly. Trade delegations, diplomatic attachés, cultural ambassadors, none of them registered like this. Maybe your sensors are broken, Emma suggested desperately. 3 independent systems, Kael'thas said, designed by different species, using different principles, all reaching identical conclusions. Then maybe, Emma stopped. Started again. Maybe your sensors are too sensitive, like maybe you're measuring things that don't actually matter. don't matter. Vexia pulled up a holographic display. Your grip strength could crush our steel. Your running speed would qualify as vehicular assault on most civilized worlds. Your reaction time suggests you could dodge our weapons fire. And that's just the mechanical properties. She expanded the display. Your body temperature would give most council species fever damage. Your stomach acid could dissolve our hull plating. You have an organ specifically designed to filter poisons from your blood, which implies you regularly ingest poisons. It's called a liver, and yeah, sometimes I have wine with dinner. Emma's patience had officially run out. Look, I don't know what to tell you. This is just how humans are. We're not special or modified or weaponized. I'm literally the most average human you could find. I teach earth science to 13-year-olds. I have a cat. I do yoga on Tuesdays. Badly. If you're average, Kael'thas said, his weapon still trained on her center mass, then what are your soldiers like? Emma opened her mouth, closed it. Okay, that's a fair question, actually, but they're trained, disciplined. They don't just go around. You're telling me there are more of you? Zilax had gone very still, deliberately trained for combat, with this as the baseline. 8 billion, Emma said quietly, give or take, on Earth, plus colonies. The silence that followed could have smothered stars. Council leader, Vexia said, her voice barely audible, I recommend we revise our threat assessment of humanity, immediately, and substantially. Zilax didn't answer. He was staring at Emma like she'd just told him the universe was ending. Emma shifted her weight, every guard tensed, and sighed. Can I please just sit down? My back is killing me. No! Emma's hands flew up in exasperation. I'm not standing here for another. Every weapon system in the chamber screamed to pre-firing status. Red lights flooded the room. The containment field around her turned solid blue. Hostile action, the AI blared. Emma froze, hands still raised. I was just, do not move! Kael'thas's weapon was cycling up, the whine of charging capacitors filling the air. 3 council members dove behind their barriers. 2 more retreated through emergency exits. Zilax had flattened himself against the back wall, all 4 eye stalks retracted. Emma's hands slowly lowered. She stared at them, at the council, at the guards who looked ready to fire. You're actually scared of me, she said softly. You're not just being cautious, you're terrified. Remain absolutely still, Vexia instructed from behind a blast door. Any movement could be interpreted as what? As me existing? Emma's voice rose. I literally just gestured. I talk with my hands. That's what humans do. But she stopped moving, went completely still, barely breathed. The weapons systems somehow got louder. Why is it worse when she's not moving? One of the guards whispered. Predator preparing to strike, another answered. Classic attack posture. I'm not a predator, Emma shouted, then winced as alarms doubled in volume. Okay, apparently I am, but I'm not your predator. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to present a petition for medical technology and go home. Vexia's voice came through speakers now, no longer willing to be in the same room. Council leader, I've pulled comparison data from our threat archives. And Zilax hadn't moved from his wall position. Her threat level exceeds 97% of known weapons in galactic record. The only things more dangerous are planet crackers, stellar destabilizers, and one experimental device the Kryn built that accidentally deleted a moon. Emma let out a laugh that might have been a sob. I teach kids about photosynthesis. I have student loans. My biggest life accomplishment is keeping a succulent alive for 2 years. This changes nothing, Zilax said, his voice shaking slightly. You are too dangerous for this station, for any station. The Council formally declares you a Category Omega threat to civilized space. Emma's face went very still. So what? I just came here for nothing? You must surrender yourself for containment, Kael'thas said, not unkindly, but firmly. We have protocols for this, a specialized facility. Humane conditions, but you cannot be allowed to move freely through. I have 16 students waiting for their science fair results. Emma's voice had gone quiet, dangerous quiet. I promised them I'd be back by Friday. I'm not getting contained. Human Johnson. No. She took a step toward the exit. Every weapon in the room tracked her. I'm leaving. I'm getting on a shuttle. I'm going home. And you're going to let me because the alternative is you trying to stop me, and we've established that's a bad idea for everyone involved. Standoff. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Kael'thas's finger hovered over his weapon trigger, but his face showed the calculation. What happens if we fire and it doesn't work? Wait, Vexia said suddenly. Wait. Human Johnson, are all humans like this? Emma stopped. Like what? Like you. These readings. This threat profile. I mean, yeah? Emma shrugged, guards tensed. She stopped shrugging. Sorry, yes, every human. This is baseline. We're all like this. The silence was absolute. You walk around, Zilak said slowly, every day. 8 billion of you, each one capable of this. We're not weapons, Emma said tiredly. We're just built different. Built how? Vexia's scientific curiosity was apparently stronger than her fear. What kind of environment produces this? Earth. Emma spread her hands slowly, carefully. Gravity's higher than most of your worlds. Atmosphere's thicker. We evolved competing with everything from viruses to apex predators. Our bodies had to be tough enough to survive falls, fights, famines, diseases, temperature extremes. You're telling me your species evolved without predators? Emma interrupted Zelax's rising panic. We evolved through cooperation and resource sharing, Zelax said defensively. Mutual benefit, peaceful coexistence. Yeah, we did that too. Emma's smile was tired, while also not dying to literally everything trying to eat us. Predators, parasites, prey that fought back. Other humans. We cooperated with our tribe while competing with everyone else for tens of thousands of years. Competitive evolution, Vexia breathed. You're a species forged in constant conflict. We call it Tuesday, Emma said. Look, I get it now. You're all softer. Your worlds were kinder. You didn't need to be built like tanks just to survive childhood. But that's not our fault. We didn't choose this. But you are this, Kael'thas said. Yes. Emma met his eyes. We are. Every single one of us. And we've been this for as long as we've existed. And somehow we still figured out art, music, philosophy, science. We built civilizations. We reached for the stars. We're not just weapons that learn to walk. We're people who happen to be dangerous. Phase 4, Revelation and Resolution. Let me demonstrate something, Emma said carefully. May I have permission to move? To show you what I mean? The council members exchanged glances. Zilax finally nodded from behind his reinforced barrier. Slowly, very slowly. Kael'thas, can you hand me one of your data pads? Emma asked, the standard ones you use for documentation? The security chief hesitated, then slid one across the floor toward her using a maintenance drone. It stopped at her feet. Emma crouched, weapons tracked, and picked it up with 2 fingers like it was made of soap bubbles. She held it up so they could see. I'm going to write a formal appeal, she said, using your legal language. Watch. Her fingers moved across the screen with excruciating care, each tap deliberate and controlled. The pad's casing creaked slightly under her grip. She adjusted, loosening her hold even more. Typed another line. The screen flickered, too much pressure, and she immediately reduced force again. 3 minutes later, she set it down with the care of someone defusing a bomb. The datapad had a slight bend to its frame that hadn't been there before. See? Emma straightened slowly. Control. It's what we teach kindergartners. Vexia retrieved the pad with her clamps, scanned it. Read the screen. This is a perfectly formatted legal appeal. Correct citations, proper protocol references. She looked up. You did this while also preventing yourself from crushing the device? While also standing, breathing, and not falling over, Emma added. Humans multitask. But Kael'thas's weapon had finally lowered slightly. You're saying this is constant? Every moment? Every moment I'm awake. Emma nodded. Every handshake calibrated to not break fingers. Every hug measured to not crack ribs. Every conversation held at volumes that won't damage eardrums. Every step taken with enough force to walk but not enough to break floors. She gestured to herself, slowly, so they could follow. I'm doing it right now, breathing gently enough not to disturb your air filtration, standing with weight distribution that won't damage your deck plating, moving at speeds that won't trigger prey drive responses in species with that instinct. Your weaponized self-control, Vexia whispered. We're people with self-control, Emma corrected. There's a difference. We don't think of ourselves as weapons choosing not to fire. We're just beings who learn gentleness because we had to. Human children learn gentle touches before they learn to read, soft voices before they learn to write, careful before they learn mathematics. You're saying every human moderates this level of force, Vexia said slowly, constantly, from childhood? Yeah, it's called not breaking stuff. Or people. Emma shrugged, a tiny movement, barely a shift of shoulders. It's not dramatic. It's not even conscious most of the time. It's just how we exist in the world. This is your normal state? Kael'thas asked. Emma laughed, a real laugh this time, exhausted and genuine. I'm actually pretty tired and hungry right now, so I'm running below normal. Give me 8 hours of sleep and a good breakfast, and I'd probably register even higher on your sensors. The council members exchanged horrified looks. So you can't be disarmed, Zilax said finally, because you fundamentally are. He stopped, started again. How do we classify a species that is the weapon? You could just treat us like people, Emma suggested. Like, I know this is shocking to you, but we've been living with ourselves for a long time. We've figured out how to coexist, how to build societies, how to love and create and explore without destroying everything we touch. She gestured to the datapad. I could have crushed that. I didn't. Not because I was trying to prove a point, but because I don't want to crush things. That's the part you're missing. We have the capacity for violence, yes, but we also have the capacity for literally everything else. Art, kindness, curiosity, peace. You're asking us to trust that, Kael'thas said. I'm asking you to recognize that you already do. Emma's voice was gentle. Your trade delegations met humans. Your diplomats worked with us. Your traders did business with us. None of them reported violence. None of them were harmed, because we chose not to harm them. She looked around the chamber. Every human you've ever met made that same choice. Every single day. We're not ticking time bombs. We're people who happen to be powerful, choosing every moment to be gentle instead. Zilax was silent for a long moment. Then, Council, I withdraw the containment demand. Gasps from the remaining members. We cannot disarm what she fundamentally is, Zilax continued. And if her claims are accurate, if humans truly moderate their power constantly, voluntarily, then attempting forced containment would be, he paused, unwise. More than unwise, Vexia added quietly. If we try to contain her against her will, she stops choosing restraint, and we've established what she's capable of. So what do we do? Another council member asked. Emma raised her hand, slowly, carefully, like a student in class. You could approve humanity's petition for medical technology access? That was the original plan. Before all, this. Zilax stood slowly, his eye stalks emerging cautiously from their protective shells. The Council will now vote on humanity's petition for advanced medical technology access. The vote was unanimous. Instantaneous. We're approving this, Zilax said carefully, because we now understand. Humans don't need our technology to be threats. You're already threats. The technology changes nothing about that fundamental reality. Emma nodded slowly. Cool. Can I go home now? I have papers to grade. The casual statement, so perfectly mundane after everything, made Kael'thas laugh. It was a slightly hysterical sound, but genuine. Wait, Vexia said. We need protocols, documentation, training procedures. She pulled up a holographic workspace, her fingers flying. All council stations must recalibrate weapons detection systems around human baselines. We need new threat classification frameworks, new security procedures. I'm creating a designation now, another council member added, typing frantically. Sapient Self-Regulated Apex Biology. SSRAB for short. I want hazard pay, Kael'thas announced. Retroactive, for every human interaction I've supervised. Approved, Zilak said immediately. I'll write the training manuals, Vexia volunteered. All security personnel need to understand. Human presence will trigger every weapon sensor we have. That's normal. That's expected. That doesn't mean they're attacking. Emma watched them work with bemused exhaustion. So, I can leave? Yes. Please. Carefully. Zilax gestured toward the exit with one trembling eye stalk. Emma picked up her tote bag, everyone tensed, and slung it over her shoulder. Thank you for your time, Council Leader, members, Security Chief. I appreciate your thorough consideration of humanity's request. She turned toward the door, took a step. Everyone braced. Relax, Emma said without looking back. If I wanted to break something, you'd know. She walked out, already pulling her phone from her pocket, scrolling through messages. Behind her, the council chamber remained frozen in tableau. Council members halfway behind barriers, guards with weapons raised but not aimed, Vexia clutching her datapad like a shield. The door closed. She's checking her phone, Kael'thas said faintly. After all that, after literally terrorizing the Galactic Council, she's checking her phone. That, Vexia said, might be the most frightening thing yet. The shuttle back to the hotel was blissfully empty. Emma collapsed into a seat and immediately video-called her colleague back on Earth. Sarah Jackson's face appeared on screen. Emma, how'd the council meeting go? Emma laughed, really laughed, for the first time in hours. They thought I was armed. I had to explain that humans are basically walking around armed all the time. Oh no, Sarah was grinning. They scanned you, didn't they? 3 separate scanning procedures. Apparently, I register as a planet killer. Emma rubbed her face. Their weapon detection systems had collective panic attacks. Did you get the tech approval? Yeah, though I think they approved it out of fear more than respect. Emma shifted in her seat, finally comfortable. They're calling us sapient self-regulated apex biology now, creating whole new protocols, recalibrating every sensor in council space. Whatever works, Sarah's grin widened. So, mission accomplished? Mission accomplished. Emma yawned. I need coffee, and maybe a nap. Diplomacy is exhausting. Welcome to galactic politics. Same time next year? God, I hope not. Emma ended the call and stared out the shuttle window at the stars. Somewhere down there, 16 middle schoolers were waiting to hear if their baking soda volcanoes and potato batteries had won ribbons. That seemed more important than rewriting galactic threat classifications. She closed her eyes and dozed. Back in the council chamber, Zilak sat alone, reviewing humanity's petition documents on his personal display. The formal request for medical technology, the supporting documentation, the cultural exchange proposals. Vexia entered quietly. Council leader, you should rest. I've been thinking, Zilak said slowly, about something Human Johnson said. Which part? She said many enlightening things. She said they were being polite. Zilax looked up, all 4 eye stalks focused on Vexia. The humans, she said they've been polite to our traders, our diplomats, our delegations. Yes? Vexia, Zilax's voice dropped. We've made a terrible mistake. Denying them technology? Vexia's faceplates shifted in confusion. We just approved. No, Zilak stood abruptly. Assuming they wanted our technology. What if they were just being polite? What if this entire petition was just human courtesy? What if they don't need any of what we offered? They stared at each other. How long, Vexia whispered, have they been humoring us? The question hung in the air, unanswered and terrifying. On Earth, 8 billion humans went about their day. They shook hands carefully. They hugged loved ones with measured force. They spoke at volumes calibrated for comfort. They opened doors and typed on keyboards and held babies with the same unconscious control humans had practiced for millennia. None of them thought twice about it. In a middle school in Ohio, 16 students checked their teacher's classroom door for the third time that hour, waiting for her return. The science fair ribbons sat in a box on her desk. Somewhere in space, Emma Johnson slept on a shuttle, dreaming of coffee and lesson plans. The galaxy would adjust. It always did.